This week is actually Global Entrepreneurship Week. Around the world, over 36 countries are celebrating Entrepreneurship Week with various activities that are going on. And so it's a pleasure for me to be able to talk this week, and it just kind of serendipitously happened that way. But what I'd like to talk about today is small business, how small business is, what some services are available for small businesses in this region, and give you some background a little bit on what the Kentucky Innovation Network is, where we think we're going, and how best we can help you and help folks in your community. This is our mission statement. We are committed to economic growth by creating an environment where all entrepreneurs can prosper. That's it. Our sole purpose is to help anyone with an idea, anyone who thinks they might want to work for themselves, someone who's invented something, someone who has a passion for a certain type of business. We want to create an environment, and we want to give them the tools they need to succeed and help themselves. That's what we do. And we do that in a variety of ways that I'll talk about throughout this brief presentation. Go ahead, Jim. Just to give you a little background on our program's history, we've been around in some capacity since 2000 with the passage of the Kentucky Innovation Act. And that act established the funding for innovation and commercialization centers, ICC offices, around the state. Owensboro, surprisingly, this region was not included in the original group of offices. So we sort of had to bird dog our way in over the course of a couple of years, and began as a satellite office of the Bowling Green ICC at Western Kentucky University. But due to high performance and our ability to help clients get their businesses off the ground, we were elevated to a full office in 2012. So that allowed us to get some additional funding from the Cabinet for Economic Development, and now there are 13 Kentucky Innovation Network offices that are spread around the state, from Paducah to Pikeville, and from Covington all the way down to Bowling Green. So we have 13 folks that are very passionate about helping entrepreneurs, and we lean on one another very heavily to try to work across those various borders to figure out the best way to help move small business forward. And there's been some innovative ways we've done that. Next slide, please. So you can see that's where all of our various offices are around the state. So the recent expansion, we've opened up some new offices. The Cabinet for Economic Development has doubled down on this as an economic development strategy. You know, for years and years and years, so many of us were preaching to the powers that be that although traditional industrial recruitment is important and something that we should still continue to focus on, that some of our best chances in many of these regions to grow new headquarters that are going to employ a lot of people, to really allow small local economies to remain sustainable over the course of the next generation, that we need to focus on growing companies as well as recruiting companies. And I think that's a strategy that the Cabinet for Economic Development believes in. And so they doubled down and decided they were not only going to continue to support all the offices around the state, but they were going to open up new ones. Particularly, our latest addition is Pikeville, where I know there's a lot of conversation going on about how to help the folks in Eastern Kentucky move beyond their current economic situation, and small business hopefully will be a good part of that. But the program itself began as a program to help technology companies, to help people that have invented a widget or started a new tech company or have an idea for an app on the phone. That was the original focus of this organization. And there were some successes, but with the doubling down and the expansion of our services, there was a rethinking of that mission, and now our charge is to help all entrepreneurial clients. And so our special focus now is on developing educational partnerships, trying to start that entrepreneurial education at a young age, to start getting students thinking about the fact that they can go be their own boss, they can start their own business. And simultaneously, not just helping tech companies, but helping anyone with an idea, whether it's for a restaurant, a barbershop, or if it's the next Google, we want to help them. So that's what we do now. Next slide, please. Just to give you an idea of our office profile, all of our funding comes from the state. We have a budget of about $300,000, and then we have about 4 people that receive part of that funding is to do our staff work. I'm the director, and Becky McCubbins, many of you all might know her from our office. She is our incubation manager. And Madison Silver, who had my current position for about 7 years before moving up to the CEO of our organization, has a lot of institutional memory and a lot of experience of working with startups. So we have kept him on staff as a special advisor, which basically means that I go knock on his door and say, I don't know what I'm doing and I need help. But he's been very helpful. And then we have Jessica Foreman as our office manager. Just some metrics on our performance. Just in 2013, 2014, we assisted 18 new client companies throughout the region. And were able to raise an investment of $17.3 million for those companies. And their job creation numbers there were 31 jobs. And most of those 31 jobs are of the high-paying, high-wealth creation caliber. From 2008 to 2014, we have assisted in the formation of 42 new companies with a net investment of $72.3 million and 140 jobs created. Now those investment metrics include everything from going out and getting startup grant funding from the various support systems that are available throughout the state, as well as going out there and raising capital from angel investors and venture capital outside the state. And there have been some efforts made in recent years to start to solidify some of those investment networks within the state to where we can compete with many of the capital sources that are outside of the Commonwealth. Next slide. Just to give you an idea of when we look at when Owensboro looks at its peer communities, we look at various communities from around the country that have similar demographic characteristics. You know, we often get put in the bowl of, you got to be more like Bowling Green. Bowling Green passed us up. Well, we're not really a whole lot like Bowling Green. We don't have an interstate, we don't have a 4-year research institution, and we're not that close to Nashville. So it's apples and oranges in many cases. So we try to look at communities around the country that have similar characteristics to us. Those range from Dubuque, Iowa, all the way to Victoria, Texas. And as you can see, our innovation growth is right about the middle of the pack, which, given some of the structural disadvantages that Kentucky has, I think is progress. But I'm certainly looking forward to the day that we are in the Jonesboro, Arkansas area of a 6.88% innovation growth. Danville, Virginia is having a little bit of trouble, you can see, with minus 11.8%. So we're hoping that we're never in that scenario. And we've been able to create some opportunities for companies in recent years where we don't think we're going to be on that path. So next slide, please. So this is just some of our recent praise we have received for small business development growth. We've been recognized as Southern Business Development's 10 Southern markets that are fostering technology like a few others. Area Development Magazine listed us a leading location for 2014. Also as a top 10 Southern city, top 20 small cities, and various other rankings. Now, the reason why I put that out there is not to brag, but to show that all this is part of a broader strategy in this region. And the broader strategy is to focus on talent and place. Because if you focus on creating place-based assets, if you focus on trying to make the best quality of life you can for your citizens, for your visitors, and for future citizens and generations, then talent, entrepreneurial development, technological infrastructure, all those different things follow. When you become a destination place that people want to live, then your ability to attract entrepreneurial, high-growth companies moves at an exponential rate. And I cannot praise enough the work that your board chair, City Manager Bill Parrish, has done with his colleagues at the City of Owensboro to really create that quality of place here in Owensboro. And that has been a huge, huge feather in our cap in terms of attracting some of these companies. Next slide, please. So I want to give you a profile of some of the companies we work with on a daily basis. This guy is one of our newest clients, brand new, came to us last April. He's a school teacher. Guy's a middle school math and science teacher who was looking for a more creative way to teach kids. The traditional lesson plan wasn't working for him. So he developed, but he also loves Dungeons and Dragons and likes to play Magic the Gathering and all those. He's a gamer. And so he thought, why not invent a game that teaches kids how animals behave in various habitats. So he created it, came down, showed it to us. We played a couple of rounds. I learned something, which was, I guess, the purpose of it. And we thought, this could work as an application that someone could use on their phone. It's becoming a hot topic right now with Apple on the App Store. So we put together called upon some of the service providers that we work with on a regular basis to give him some pro bono help. And now we are helping him with his intellectual property strategy and identifying the market to where he can get this thing moving forward. So this is one that we were able to help through our program, which is called Bucks for Bright Ideas, which we launched in the spring. And Bucks for Bright Ideas is essentially where we solicit ideas from around the region. Anybody who's got an idea for anything can, whether it's a product, an invention, a service, can send that to us, and we will, our team will evaluate it, and the winners receive services based on what they need to get their product to market. We go out and raise about $45,000 worth of in-kind services from attorneys, from CPAs, from development companies, from engineers, from CAD departments at universities, all that are willing to donate some of their time and some of their resources to helping get some of these products to market. So what we hopefully do through that program is give somebody like Mike Cantrell, who owns Games and Brains, some assistance he needs to move his product a little further down the line to market. And so he's gotten some great help from our folks at Interact, which is a company that started here in Owensboro. They're now in Louisville, but they're willing to put up, I think they put up $15,000 worth of development work for this project. So we're excited about that. Next slide, please. And this is one of our more established companies. Anybody that hears me talk about our clients, I talk about them a lot because they are a success story. This is a story I love telling. The guy who owns this company, founder and CEO, is a guy named Kevin Humphrey. Kevin Humphrey built grain bins for a living, for Owensboro Grain. And he saw a shipment of grain going off on a truck, and he knew that grain was contaminated. Because the way they sample grain is outdated. It's a nutty technology. What they do is they take a big cylinder, they dip it in the batch of grain, they take samples, they ship it off to the lab, and a few days later, those samples come back clean. That means the whole batch gets a check mark and it goes to market. Well, the problem is you can miss some stuff. It's not very efficient. It's not very timely. So Kevin decided there was a better way. So he started to tinker, started to come up with some ideas. And what dawned on him was that all of the things that contaminate dry food goods are not in the food. They're on the food. Which means if they're on the food, they're probably in the air around the food. So he developed a technology, patented a technology, that will sample the air quality around dry food goods and can bring back a sampling that's much more accurate and much more timely than the traditional method. And he's got a machine that's now going out the door to Procter & Gamble, to Mars, to Purina, to lots of different food companies, Kellogg's, all around the country. And he's building his machines right here in Owensboro. He's starting to hire people and hopefully going to be building his company up to where there will be a large employer for this region in the years to come. And some of the ways we've helped them is they are a tenant in our Center for Business and Research, which I'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. Their first investment was from our seed fund, which was developed to be the first dollar in the door for some of these startup companies. Our seed fund now owns about 2% of that company. And then we went out and helped them raise about another $1 million from sources around the state. So they're doing well. They're now a revenue company, and are really at the point now where where we really have to work with them, because it's great getting companies started, but where they're at their most vulnerable is when they're growing. So we're very focused on helping them grow in the right way to where they can be sustainable for the region. Next slide, please. So yes, they are tenants in this building, the Owensboro Center for Business and Research. When I was in high school, this was a nightclub, if you believe it or not. And just a few years ago was an abandoned warehouse that no one was using. And my predecessor, Madison Silver, his first day on the job, Dr. Nick Brake, called him into his office and said, I want you to start researching business incubators. We should probably do one here. That was how the conversation started. And so they were looking for places to do this. In Bowling Green, they converted an old shopping mall. But here, Malcolm Bryant had this building, which was basically a shell with some dirt floors, but it's 47,000 square feet. It's at the southern anchor of downtown Owensboro, between Gresham University and Parrish Avenue. And we thought, wow, this would be really cool to do here. 115-year-old tobacco warehouse. Probably not any other business incubators like it in the country. Through the work of the folks here at GRADD, we were able to get a grant to fund the equipment that goes in that building, which is about $2 million worth of equipment that is very specialized for plant-based therapeutics, for food science, for all of the different industrial clusters that we have here in this region, and allow our tenants to use that equipment as part of their lease in the building. So someone like Hollison, who needs access to scientific equipment, did not have to go out and spend $50,000 to equip their own lab, which changed the capital structure of their company and allowed them to utilize our space and to help validate their research. And we have university researchers there as well to help aid in that. Right now we have about 15 companies that are incubated inside that facility. Next slide. So this, the basement has a, 2 to 3 companies are using our biosafety laboratories. One thing that that's not listed there is that one of the things Owensboro's been in the news about a lot lately is this Ebola treatment that was developed by Kentucky Bioprocessing. Kentucky Bioprocessing leases a lab from us in the Owensboro Center for Business and Research. And some of that initial research that helped determine the properties of ZMapp, which is the drug that has been most effective at treating the Ebola virus, started right there in that building. That's something that we're really proud of. And our basement now houses a suite for some workforce training programs. It's a very interesting partnership that we've developed between the Owensboro Public Schools and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Public school systems are realizing on and on that it's very important for students to have project-based learning, for students to be involved in kind of 21st century tech training, the new tech high school model, but also that our local IBEW folks were looking for a better place to train their workforce in the evenings. So the city schools are there getting their technical education during the day, and the IBEW is there in the evening. So that was an innovative partnership, at least at about half of the space that we have in the basement. So just in the past year, we've seen about a 7,800 square feet increase in the number of space we've built out. So we've basically upped the ante by 50% in that building just in the last year. Next slide. Bucks for Right Ideas, I mentioned, this is a program that we developed with our partners in Bowling Green. We're getting ready to start planning for that for the spring. So all of you all in your counties and communities, if you know anyone who's creative and coming up with ideas that they would like to potentially get to market, we certainly recommend that they talk to us. And whether they win or not, we want to keep working. We want to help them get their product to market. Go ahead, Ken. I wanted to mention something about Costarters. Costarters is, again, one of our focuses is trying to align entrepreneurship in the educational realm from an early age all the way to high school and college. So we partnered with Gresham University to put together this course through the Costarters program, which was developed by the CoLab folks in Chattanooga. It's a very innovative, what we call lean startup methodology. for helping companies. It's very project-based, it's very hands-on, and it's very fluid. It encourages entrepreneurs to start to develop their business model, but also leave that business model flexible enough because it's going to change. They know that as they run their business, they're going to encounter unforeseen circumstances, and the key is to recognize those and to pivot as quickly as possible before you run out of money in no uncertain terms. So we've been working to that. We had 17 students in our first cohort, and we have a waiting list for the next semester. So we're very excited about that. And we have up to 5 sites, so we're hoping to replicate this across the region if we can. Next slide, please. I mentioned angel investment development. We're developing hopefully developing in addition to the seed fund that we already have, we are in conversations and want to continue to have conversations with our folks around the 7-county GRADD region to develop a similar seed fund that will be available to companies throughout the 7-county GRADD region. Right now, our seed fund that we've developed is only available for Owensboro companies. I want that to change. I like to go out there and to raise money and solicit proposals from companies that are looking for investment around all 7 counties. So that's something that moving forward, I would love to work with our partners in the GRADD region on helping to come up with a strategic plan as to how to do that. But that's something we think, that first dollar in the door is always the most important to get it going. And if we can have some creative financing structures that we can develop from the private sector, we think that we'll be able to show some progress in the angel development programs. I do want to talk a little bit about the regional outreach. With our elevation to a full ICC, we now just don't cover, my office now just doesn't cover Owensboro. Even though I'm housed in the Economic Development Corporation, my role is to help companies throughout the 7-county GRADD region. So we have been doing some very innovative partnerships with Kindle. They've been great to work with. We were supposed to host some events this week for Global Entrepreneurship Week in Union and Henderson County, but the weather on Monday kept us from, we're going to reschedule those. But we are always looking for ways to get out in the region, to tell our story, and to help clients and entrepreneurs know that we are here to help them and to leverage all of our different stakeholders, whether it be the Small Business Development Center, the small business programs here at GRADD, Community Ventures Corporation, all those different folks that are providing services to entrepreneurs. We want to work hand in hand with them to help grow this region. So, so all of you all know, moving forward, I'm committed to talking to anyone at any time, at any place about their project. If it's a client in Ohio County, I want to meet them. Someone in McLean County who's developed something, I want to meet them. I want to make a special effort to get out to the rest of our counties and let them know that this is not just an Owensboro project. This is something that we have developed to help the entire region. And whether that's at the high school level or whether that is whether that's someone who's got an existing company that is looking for strategies on how to grow. We want to help everyone. So I want that's one thing I want to impart to you today is that I came up with a regional attitude working here of helping all these different counties, and that's something that if you look around the country, areas that are thinking more regionally are the ones that are succeeding. And so I'm committed to doing that. So I hope that as you're out there in your communities and you meet people that have ideas or businesses, that send them my way or let me know and I'll be happy to contact them.